You're watching The Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people of color-led, dark fantasy actual play channel telling stories set in an original non-colonial, anti-orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only aftershow, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching our show, and enjoy. Content warnings for this episode include complex relationships, death of loved ones, fantasy violence, blood, gore, body horror, compulsion, monsters and monstrosity, fire, heights, falling, flying, and references to romance. Arc 2, Episode 27. Cruelty Spits. From Carved Inside an Empty Urn by Connie Chong. Once upon a time, there were two sisters. They were born in famine to one of the 5 great earthly kingdoms of Yaolan. Although they did everything together, they were as different as sun and moon. The stronger sister was always destined for greatness, fated to carve her hunger into the flesh of the cradle itself and alter the course of the river forever. The weaker sister tried to keep up, but her mortal heart could not claim the fate of her sibling. And yet, the stronger sister loved her, even as the fires of the devouring raged around them, even as the death of death itself closed in. The stronger sister protected the weaker sibling, shielding them from harm, blessing them with the gift of a proximity to greatness. And great she was. The stronger sister ascended to godhood with dizzying alacrity, mind-numbing calamity. Tada apotheosis rippled across the river for all to gaze upon and tremble beneath, and Ta slew every god that stood in Tada way. They slew the gods that fled from their sword. She slew the gods that begged for mercy. Ta slew, and Ta slew, and Ta slew because Ta could, because Ta was great, and because no one could stop Ta. Until their sister, their helpless, pitiful, soft-hearted sister who had always been weaker, who had never been destined for anything at all, sank a sacred blade between their ribs and sent them hurtling toward oblivion. And the worst part was that her sister, her helpless, pitiful, soft-hearted, weak sister, wept as she did it. Ta wept about cruelty and choice and how it had to be done, how Ta had no other option, but all Tigu could hear was the pounding of her own impaled heart, the roaring of her own dying blood as she sank into the river and plummeted toward oblivion, and it sounded like rage, 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 all the way down. And though Tigu had been killed, they did not die. Her hatred and her ambition and her rage kept her alive, a ghost of a god of a ghost, anchored to life by that shard of her sister's sacred sword still lodged in her chest, the sword that her sister released when she slew her, the sword that Queen Tigu, the first fallen, beginning of the end, Lord of Death, sovereign on low of the underworld, now wields in her left hand. A broken blade with its upper half missing, the stronger half, the greater half. Bathed in mist, Queen Tigu steps into the Hall of Peerless Destiny. An army of demons stands behind the Queen of the Underworld, armed to the teeth. The broken sword in Queen Tigu's left hand gleams with severed magic, with profane hatred. She wears robes of pure black, limned by embroidery, the same violent silver as her eyes. And gleaming upon Tada's forehead is a black huadian in the shape of a lotus. Their face is soft and rugged, peaceable and thunderous, masculine and feminine, loving and hateful. She looks exactly like her sister, and nothing like her at all. Tigu raises her head and addresses Tada's sibling, risen from the sandalwood throne, bright crimson blood spattered across the front of their robes. And the voice that comes out of the throat of the underworld queen is flat and venomous, the exact same timbre of a serpent hiding its fangs. Longxie Feng. The river runs as the river rolls. I have long awaited this moment for 4,000 lifetimes, and I will wait not one more. Xainan. The axe comes down. You see your own reflection in the side of this immaculately crafted blade. You see your face, your hair, your grief marks, the coat of your robes, the cherry blossoms. You know, they say that in the moments before you die, your entire life flashes before your eyes. And it does. It truly, really does. Xainan, tell me, what memory blooms across your mind's eye in this precious heartbeat before your fated death?
Sunset. Sunset on Kaseki, his whole family there. Birds pecking, the grass rolling, and there's no oblivion there. Just happiness.
Xainan Esh, your whole family is here, too. For right before you die, the ghosts you've summoned surge. Azalis, Piera, Dom, Ija, Sorna, even Doxa, even Sing. They lift their spectral arms and hold the edge of that blade inches away from your face, from that precious, fragile place where soul meets body. And at this, the Forge Master frowns. She presses down with divine strength. The ghosts around you howl, but they hold. They form an unbreakable barrier, an aura of protection as strong as the depths of your grief, the depths of your love, mixing together to form a shield, powerful enough to rebuke even the hatred of a god. And in this moment, Xainan Esh, you are saved. And in this moment, your final words change. Xuejiang tilts her head to the side, regards the ghosts around you with a dispassionate look. But a current underneath that blank stare betrays her fury. Fine. Hammer it is. And then you feel weightless. You see the void between stars. You see the hallways of Trans. You see your parents' faces, but not ghostly, real, as wide as the horizon, as they hold you as a baby. You see Sing. You see Doxa. You see Azalis. And when you hit the ground, you are back in the White Forge. And I want you to tell me which side of your face Xuejiang has cracked open with the hammer of creation.
Xainan's right temple is glowing with the impact. And then it's bleeding.
Absolutely. The right side of your face doesn't even feel like it's in pain. It's transcended pain. This wound has bludgeoned through the flesh of your face. It's cracked through skin and muscle and bone all the way down to the soul. And you can feel the heat of this divine forge, the heat of the White Forge flaring in your right eye. You can feel your blood vessels bursting in the socket. You can feel your cheekbone cratering inward from that impact. And the ghosts around you, as you slump to the ground, they are gone. They vanished when the hammer crashed into your head, and patience, too, slips out of your grasp, this crescent blade skittering across the floor of the White Forge and vanishing into the darkness. And Xainan, I need you to take Broken 6. In the Hall of Peerless Destiny, Xiao Cheng stumbles. As the Emperor inhales, gasping back to life, the courtier's impossibly massive orange eyes widen to the size of a sunset. The monstrous, multicolored light pouring out of them like a sunbeam through a prism stutters, and the treasonous blade in their left hand seizes in Longdu's direction, away from where it was locked against your forearm, Seir. But Xiaocheng screams and grabs their wrist and forces that arm down. And the courtier is oscillating between god and beast, between person and monster. And so are you, Seir. Your own blood drips down your chin from where you bit into your arm, and in this heartbeat before everything goes to hell, patience flies back into your hand and you catch it instinctively.
That's not supposed to happen. Patience isn't supposed to be here. And Seir stares at the curved blade in his hand. What do I see, Connie?
You see a monster reflected in the steel back at you. No, a familiar beast. You see a black-furred, antlered entity sprawling outward with its horns into infinity, and you realize it's behind you? No, it is you. No, it's in front of you. Is it all of these things at once? And you blink again, and the blood trickles down your chin, and you see your own fearful blue eyes.
Why are you here? Patience, patience. Why are you here? Where is Xainan? You were not to leave his side. Where is he?
And patience vibrates. And you feel its emotion coursing through the hand that caught it. Insistence, desperation, an edge of fear from a divine blade.
No.
Lumièra, the world here is darker than the one you just came from. Oblivion was so dazzlingly bright. She was so dark. She could burn. Your hands are at the front of Longdu's robes. You blink back into yourself, and now your fingers, you see, are stained red with blood. The blood of a god. The blood of a god killer. The blood of one chosen by fate. You've seen this blood before. And in this moment, before everything goes to hell, Longdu looks down at you and smiles. Thank you. I'll take it from here.
I can do that?
You, Lumièra, are possessed of so much more potential than I think even you've given yourself credit for.
I can do that.
You can. And now there is something that I can and must do, if you'll excuse me.
Lumièra is so flabbergasted at the real, just her mind is reeling a million miles a minute. And I think the only thing that she just keeps muttering is, I can do that. I can do that.
And the Emperor gently and firmly takes their fingers around your wrist and removes your blood-stained hands from the cavern inside her chest. And she stands. She rises. She turns, and she faces her twin. And Longdu raises her head and she speaks. Hello, sister. The river runs as the river rolls. It doesn't have to be this way. It never has. Oh, sister. Precious little amethyst dragon. From the bottom of my heart, still punctured by that blade, you sink between my ribs. Go fuck yourself. You've made your choice. Now I make mine. And Longdu turns her head, faces Seir and Lumièra and Phoenix and the symbols and says, I will take care of my sister. My symbols will take care of her army. But this is not the only battle being fought in the City of Heaven today. The mist needs help, and without it, we will be lost. Xuejiang, my virtue, our city needs you. I need you. And in this moment, Xuejiang, with their hand gripped around that wrist, holding that treasonous blade, they freeze. They look up. Their eyes shrink back down to a manageable size, not a mortal size, but a divine size, trapped within mortal restraints. And they look at Longdu, and those words from their mentor, from the only entity they've ever felt close enough to call parent, ring true inside their soul. And the hand quivering with that traitorous blade stills. They master it. And Xuejiang lifts their arm and they cast the blade aside. But as the sword whirls through the air, Longdu's right hand comes out and she catches it by the hilt. And the Emperor raises her head and she says to both of you, you may not be cultivators of Yaolan, or even beings of the Sister Realms, but I must ask for your assistance one final time. The mist's corruption must be cut off at the source. The Forge Master, that's the only way this nightmare will end. Take the river gourd with Xuejiang and go with my courier and virtue. Fate will guide you.
I think it slips out of Lumièra's mouth before she's even able to stop herself. Trust in her will. And we'll turn to look at Seir.
Meanwhile, Seir has only heard one word that fell out of Longdu's mouth. Forge Master. As all that covers his head, his ears, is a high-pitched ringing, one that can only be felt when you are at your most desperate. And Seir, Lumièra, you hear this deep guttural groan coming out of Seir as he mutters under his breath, no, 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 no. And coming out of the wounds on his back, piercing flesh, a large white and black billowing tail made of curls and curves bursts out of his back. His arm, the furs on his arms begin to unfurl all the way up to his shoulder. His fangs and jaw dislocate forward to bring out a full set of canine teeth. And the antlers rise. They change slightly. You could have sworn the angle was different. And Seir snaps back to you this partial monstrification. The Forge Master. Come to me. I'll take us there. And Seir has increased in size. There's enough room on his back for not only you, but Xuejiang as well, as he lowers himself like a guardian beast.
Okay. I think Lumièra's and just okay. We have to get this.
You're gonna ride Seir?
Absolutely.
Okay. I phrased it rather poorly. But Lumièra, you grab
my
on the
ass
Seir.
just agrees. Like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, of course I would. Oh my god. Yeah, you grab onto the fur that's starting to sprout from his enlarging body, the cracked bone, the tail whipping out, and you swing a leg over the back of this, not even skin anymore, almost like a roughened, tough, bestial hide. And Seir, I need to know, are you still holding onto patience in one hand, even as you transform?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's holding onto it for dear life as if it were a compass in a hunter's hand. As he's holding it outward. Show me where Xainan is.
Yeah, you feel it vibrating in your hand like a dowsing rod, pointing due north toward its twin, pointing right toward where violence must be. And then you see the sheen of the blade shoot through with light once more, and when the light evaporates, you see that same antlered visage that black fur, those horns sprawling into infinity, and you hear a voice, a now familiar voice in your head, resonating deep within your soul. You are slipping out of control, boy. No matter how you feel about me, you must acknowledge this power that you wield in order to control it. You must know who I am.
I don't care who you are.
Look at me, boy. Look at me.
No. My hero needs me. I won't look upon your lies.
And the light flashes again, and you see your own face, and you can hear a guttural growl resonating out of your dislocated throat. And then you feel as though a leaf falling on the back of a great elephant. Xuejiang alighting upon you as well, the gourd tightly strapped to their waist. Their eyes focused, no longer shaking, but empowered with the strength of the words from their emperor flowing through them. Okay, yes, Emperor, we will do as you have said. I will not fail you. I will not fail the City of Heaven. And as though on cue, battered and bruised, but in formation, Strike Team Phoenix takes up positions around your crew. You see Cove unshackling her weapon. You see Amaru cocking their head from side to side and unsheathing that golden lance. And you also see Ash raising their hands and a strange kind of vibrational magic tensing around their presence. And Ash signs to your party, "We'll cover you." Ansha also pats Seir twice on the side, this demonic assassin, hair flowing, and as oh my god, that was a sexy growl. Seir, I just had to pause my description to acknowledge that.
The way I had to scream, I just screamed.
Oh, monster fuckers arise. Monster fucker truthers arise. Anyway, Ansha's black hair flows behind their... No, they have storm gray hair. Excuse me. Ansha's storm gray hair flows behind their robes, and as they lift a hand, you see it starting to curl and curdle into a demonic claw. But they smile, that same sweet, sappy smile towards Xuejiang, revealing sharpened canine teeth. Go. Courtier. No. Virtue now. I know you won't fail the Emperor whom you admire so much. We'll hold down the fort. And Ansha steps back, and you also feel magic starting to tense around the assassination demon. And Seir, Lumièra, Xuejiang, as the three of you turn and steel yourself against this hall. As if on cue, all hell breaks loose. A mounting battle erupts, and we hear roars, we hear weapons being unsheathed, we hear demons growling, and we see Longdu and Tigu brandishing their blades, one broken, one whole, and rush forward. And on that rush, we cut to the diamond furnace. Xainan. On that knife's edge of death, you hear the Forge Master's voice. That's enough. A shame, really. We really were so much alike. But eating you now here would give me nothing. You are still just a mortal, after all. And I must save my appetite. The real devouring begins now, down there. It's time for me to go. The Forge Master turns and strides out of the White Forge, leaving you behind to die, to turn into a monster, to become corrupted by the mist. Whatever your fate, she is done with you. She is leaving to finish what she started, because her journey has only just begun. As the Forge Master vanishes into the thickening mist beyond the forge, Naeem and Yinghe rush over to where you're slumped, and their hazy shapes swimming in and out of focus to you. And I have a crucial question for you in this moment, Xainan. Are there any tags you'd like to burn to reduce your status? Or
Yes. Oh.
would you like to leave this up to fate?
Oof. I think sitting between that moment almost outside of himself and watching these people approach. They're just shapes, and he is kind of adrift in the journey in a way that I think is his truest inner self. And there's a little part of him, this boy on Kaseki, that wants to clasp and grab at. His voice inside, though, isn't yelling to fight. It is tied deep, deep, deep down into one phrase. The meaning of it shifts like a kaleidoscope every 5 minutes, centering around an idea, a precept, a saint, a chosen one. But all he can think is to trust in her will.
And her will, in this moment, Xainan Ash, simply doesn't let you die. You should! You really should. You really, really should, but you don't. With every passing second, your wound seems to stabilize, the out-of-focus figures seem to clarify, and in the Transplanar Reification and Nourishment Syndicate in Artemis's office, we see the Hand of Fate, the patron saint of mortals, at their desk, doing paperwork. And then, they suddenly keel over. There is a convulsion of the shoulders, and when they lift back up, we see blood splattered across her desk. Bright red, painfully mortal blood. And Artemis feels in her soul of souls that tether between her and Xainan, the death that she has taken for him. In the White Forge, you hear Naeem's voice. Xainan! Xainan! Don't you dare fucking leave me now, do you hear me?
You're yelling.
And there's a great sigh of relief, but still insistence and fear. Okay, well, if you're good enough to be sassy, you're good enough to fight for your life. Just stay still. You, Yinghe, is it? Cup their head, please. Cup the side of his head. And you feel shaking cold fingers cupping the side of your head, which is honestly a welcome relief from the burning hot blood that's streaming down the side of your face. And as that's happening, you're still swimming in and out of focus. You hear prayer papers fluttering around you, and you can feel them beginning to settle over the wounds of your body, specifically starting to wrap almost as bandages around your head. And Naeem's not a healer specialization. He can do it. Ash is supposed to be the healer, but he's good enough to stabilize you in this moment. So Xainan, you get to clear 1 tier off any status of your choice.
Oh, thank God.
And as Yinghe is also stabilizing you, you feel shadowy tendrils of strength wrapping themselves around your skin, sinking into your blood, into your soul. And these shadowy tendrils help you recover up to 2 burned tags of your choice.
Oh my God.
So what status are you trying to clear 1 tier off of?
Oh, I'm gonna take one off of that broken 6, thanks.
That's true. That's true. You're only at broken 5 now. Lovely.
Yeah.
What 2 tags would you like to recover? Yeah.
And I think with Yinghe's help, those shadows reach in and find the parts of Xainan that had begun to extinguish the survivalist instinct. And I think his tie to the ghosts, messages from the beyond.
I love that. Yeah, you were, as soon as the hammer slammed into the side of your head and the ghosts vanished, you couldn't hear them anymore. Like, they were starting to fade from you. But as the shadows basically tether them back to you, pull them back, you hear those whispers just on the edges of your perception. You'll have to focus to hear what they're saying, but the ghosts have returned to you. You can feel their presence once more. And as you start to rejuvenate, recover here, Naeem places a hand on your opposite shoulder from Yinghe. The Forge Master has escaped. She's vanished into the mist beyond the White Forge. If we want to catch up to her, if we want to stop her, we have to go now.
Then let's go.
Xainan, Yinghe and I can take care of this. You can stay behind and rest if you have to. I don't want you to be in any more danger than you've already... Well, it was worth a shot.
Nice try.
Come on.
Hey. Thanks. And Xainan looks Naeem dead in the eyes. And one green and one ember orange eye look up at him.
Yes! Yeah, the cracked side of your face still sparking with the heat from the forge, the divinity thrumming in the forge master's hammer. Naeem lets out a quick exhale. Don't thank me. Just pay me back by living, okay?
All right. And delirious Xainan kind of starts to try and pull himself up, and I choose to believe that Yinghe is like, no.
Yeah, Yinghe helps you, right? Like, puts shoulders underneath your arms and helps you get to your feet. And you wobble a little bit, really unsteady. Your head rings, but then you catch yourself.
And I think as he stands up, he looks down, he sees his hat that he tossed aside in rage, in vengeance, in fury when he lost himself for just a second. And he scoops it up, puts it on, takes a deep, steadying breath, looks to his palm. There's no cherry blossom there. There were cherry blossoms, and he reaches behind his neck and pulls out a cherry blossom. Huh. All right, we gotta go stop all this shit. And Xainan is going to slowly first, but as he walks, it goes from uneasy to steadier to steady, and even footfalls as he runs towards the exit to the forge.
Xainan, you stagger out of the exit of the forge and you enter a cloud of pure white mist. And as this mist thickens and thickens, we see figures starting to move through it like shadows. And when it thins, we see Lumièra and Seir. In the Hall of Peerless Destiny, demons clash with gods, monsters clash with cultivators, and sister clashes against sister. The fight starts instantly, and it does not stop. All you can see is mist and fire and water and steel and wood and shadow and amethyst and silver and jade and bone, and the monsters are everywhere and violence is everywhere. How do the two of you, alongside Xuejiang, attempt to escape the hall on your way towards Xainan Esh?
I think Lumièra, in the rush of everything, taking in Seir's new abilities and everything that's going on around, I think her panic response is going to one of the few things that she she knows, like breathing. So she'll climb down off of Seir and try her damnedest to get to Xainan. The entire time she's like yelling out, like, you need to stabilize his neck. You need to make sure, like he can't just be, help, do something.
Are you, so Xainan isn't in the Hall of Peerless Destiny, just a quick above the table clarification. Xainan's not physically here. Xainan is far away from here. It's like
Jiminy
in the
Christmas.
White Forge. Yeah, so this sequence is you trying to get out of the hall because there are two armies clashing in here.
The way my brain just went right past
No, you're all
that
good. You're so fine.
So
it's
sorry.
all good. We can
Seir,
rewind.
go first.
To the
I'll
top.
follow you after,
Cool.
if it's okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. You, as the both of you are sat on Seir's back, he like crouches enough for the both of you to stabilize, and you hear the deep breathing of a feral beast beneath you. And Seir's voice has dropped an octave as he says, "Hang on." And as he like settles both of you on his back. And what I'm gonna do, Connie, as Seir, is barrel through. I do not give a flying fuck who is in my way. I will grab them by the throat and toss them to Cove and Amaru if I have to. I don't care. My priority
Okay.
is Xainan.
This sounds like a tempt fate to me, actually. So when you tempt fate with your actions, roll plus mythos. So just however many mythos themes you have.
Okay, let me do that really quick.
That's a 2, I
I'll
think,
use
right,
this.
for you?
So how many? What do I need to add again? Sorry,
How many
What
mythos themes you have? So the number of mythos
I
themes
have-
you have.
I have
Can I
2.
help with or attempt to help with tempt fate? I can't remember.
Yeah, you absolutely can. You can help a crewmate here. So you can roll
Yeah.
2d6 plus any available number of help points you have. If you have 0, then it's a +0.
Oh, I wanted to use an ability to help, not use my help points.
Okay,
I was gonna put Seir in a liminal and fast track us.
Okay, then I think that's to channel your power, actually.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I want the two of you to roll simultaneously. So Seir just roll with a +2.
Okay.
You can't invoke any additional tags for this. And Lumièra,
Okay.
what tags are you invoking for the liminal?
I'm going to use control of time, creating liminals, and shielded by time as well. However, I will inflict doesn't understand the power.
Okay, I'm also going to inflict fatigued on you in this moment. So that's a
Okay,
+1
plus
net
one.
for you. All right, Seir, what did you get?
9.
Okay, that's a mixed success. Lumièra?
Oh, that's not so nice. That's
Uh-oh.
That's a 7.
Okay, that's a mixed
Okay.
success from both of you. All right. Okay.
You already know the answer, so don't even ask.
The effect is volatile, I guess. Yep, the effect is volatile.
Yeah.
Lovely, because we know what the mixed success outcome for channeling power is at this moment. Okay. On a 7 to 9 on Tempt Fate, you triumph over this specific ordeal, but attract the attention of your enemies. They react immediately. That seems pretty obvious. Lumièra, what does it look like as the liminal flickers into existence around Seir?
I think from Lumièra's chest, you feel it first, Seir. It kind of sears into your back. It feels like this bright golden light before you see like these spectral, shimmering gold clock gears form right in front of you and then start ticking in conjunction with each other. You've seen her do it before, and it seems like the people around us are moving slower than what they were previously moving as.
Clock gears crank and whir into translucent place around Seir as though the heat shield from a falling meteorite. As you charge forward, and just as Lumièra had attempted, you see the battlefield suddenly slow down to bullet time, and as your eyes flick from left to right, you see a crumbling pillar descending as slowly as a falling tower of cards, and you see a wall of flame explode upward from Druling's sword and just slice barely in time to catch up to where you are. You see a rampaging demon with no fewer than 3 god monsters attached to his fur as his hooves pound over the ground, and he swings his axe, but you're able to barrel through all of this like a literal bullet in actual time. The only 2 figures in this space who don't seem to be moving slowly, who seem to be moving actually very quickly, even so fast that you can barely keep up, are Queen Tigu and Longdu. In this liminal, you can barely track their movements as they slam into the sandalwood throne and then slam into a pillar, up into the roof, down into the ground. They're moving faster than the mortal or divine eye can track, and their blades are clanging against each other and sending up huge, massive, magical shockwaves of force every time they clash. Because of the mixed success of both of your natures, you are just about at the entrance to the Hall of Peerless Destiny when the liminal flickers and breaks. And it explodes. The liminal just... and a shockwave of time magic pulses behind all of you and hits into everything at your back. And for a split second, everything seems to freeze. And then we see some demons suddenly age a lot, and then some god beasts suddenly seem to de-age. A beast that looks like a massive bird creature suddenly turns back into an egg, and we see the fallen, crumbled amethyst pillar revert itself back up and then crumble again and then revert itself back up, and these pockets of chaotic time magic just sparking behind you, and throwing
so
both of you
cool.
akimbo.
I'm sorry, I had to stop it really quick to just be like, that's so fucking awesome, Connie.
Why, thank you. And I need both of you to take battered 2 as a result of being flung outward here. You can burn as many tags as you would like to inhibit that. So would any of you like to burn tags?
No, I'm alright. I'll keep it.
No.
Okay.
No, I'll take it.
Okay. Sounds good. And Xuejiang kind of lands gracefully on the ground, like floating down with divine elegance, and picks himself back up. Now all of you are at the entrance. And you sense in this moment something hurtling very quickly in your direction. A flaming arrow that a demonic archer had loosed, trying to prevent the 3 of you from escaping. But then there's a flash of golden light, and we see a Maru's lance come down, and Amaru lands between your party and the arrow as the arrowhead thwicks uselessly into the ground next to Lumièra's boot. And Amaru looks up, and there's a moment as they lock eyes with you, Lumièra, as he just looks at you, and it almost looks like he wants to say something, but then he just gives you a curt nod and turns back to the fight.
I was gonna say, Lumièra does the exact same thing. She notices it immediately and looks down and sees that it's Xai's and just looks up at him. Silent nod of appreciation before turning back to the mission.
I love it. And Seir, Lumièra, Xuejiang, the 3 of you turn around and you book it out of the Hall of Peerless Destiny. And you surface into mist. And we see this mist, thick, opaque, white, like a snowy ocean. And when it thins, we see Xainan, stumbling out of the White Forge, blinking around, trying to clarify your perception. The mist has thickened to such a degree that it reminds you of the Dreaming City. The entirety of heaven is bathed in a lucent veil of nightmares that refuses to lift by wind, by magic, or by force. You can barely see more than 30 bu ahead of you, and even so, you can hear the calamity. You can hear the screams somewhere down there. You're almost positive it comes from the Hall of Peerless Destiny. You can hear the roars, the clashes. The entire city is descending into chaos, and the source of it is fast escaping your reach. How do you attempt to follow the Forge Master?
Xainan reaches deep down in that bottomless well of resolve, and he begins to run. And every time he has approached an edge, a mountaintop, a tall building here in the City of Heaven, he has been hesitant to jump off of tall things, even though people have repeatedly said it's safe. But we are in a place made of magic. And Xainan is going to take a leap of faith, believing in his own ability to will the magic here.
You know what? In the spirit of what you're attempting, I think that's attempt fate. So roll 2d6 plus the number of mythos themes you have. I think that's 1.
It's 1.
Okay, go for it.
It's been nice knowing y'all. That is an admirable gentleman's 8.
Okay, that's good. Okay, that's a big success. Yes, okay, excellent. So you triumph over this specific ordeal, but you attract the attention of your enemies.
Oh, yeah.
They get to react immediately. Okay, so as you leap off of the peak of the White Forge, for a moment you feel weightless. And then your gut tumbles up to your heart, which tumbles up into the pit of your throat, and you're falling. You are straight up just falling through the mist, through the clouds, and you can see a roof tile coming up very quickly underneath your feet to meet it, and then you levitate. You slow down, right before you hit the roof, and your feet kind of like touch down on it, and you're able to catch yourself with the momentum moving forward as you feel Naeem's magic lace around your body, as Naeem also touches down next to you, and Xiaocheng with suture papers fluttering like wings around your group.
Oh, thank fate. You know, I thought
Are you
that
serious?
would work.
You know, you really should give me a heads up the next time you jump off of the edge of a cliff.
It's been working for everyone else here. I thought I'd give it a try.
I know how much you hate heights, so seeing you do that was... Well, we have a Forge Master to catch up to.
Yeah. Alright. Xainan turns, and you can hear the soft soles of his tabby boots shift on the tiles, and he pulls his bow into his hand, tosses it to his actual bow hand, and looks ahead into the fog, and draws a line in his mind as the crow flies from where they are to the Hall of Peerless Destiny. And just begins to run, leaping from building to building as quickly as he can.
The path opens up before you, as though a god had drawn a glimmering brush to show you the perfect shortcuts to take for like the fastest distance to get there. Because of course, the shortest route from point A to point B is a straight line. And you see that straight line open up on the tops of roof tiles, on the upper branches of fruit trees, on the apexes of massive bridges the size of entire neighborhood districts. And you run. This minor flight spell that Naeem has barely enough energy to summon to sustain your group allows you to enables you to leap across great distances, and it's almost like you're soaring when you're in the apex of your jump, but then you land very gently and then you jump back up. So it's like this that we see you bounce from roof to courtyard to tree to bridge until you finally see a tail wicking its way out of the mist. And then the mist parts, and the three of you see Xuejiang. She is maybe 100 boo ahead of you at this point, and she's also landing from rooftop to rooftop, but not with the same kind of vulpine grace, with a kind of heavy, powerful, pouncing motion. She gets down on all fours, hits the ground, and you see roof tiles crack underneath the weight of her landing, and then she rips her way back up into the air and pounces back onto the ground. You see her. But you've also drawn the attention of your enemies, so I need you to roll me a d6.
Uh-oh, okay. Here we go. Roll better. 6.
Oh, lovely. So, just as you see Xuejiang, you feel something on the periphery of your perception, and you are able to maneuver out of the way as... At first you think they're arrows, and then you realize they're thorns? No, they're sharpened feathers. As a contingent of avian monstrous gods descends upon your group, shrieking and throwing these blade feathers at you. That's what a 6 was. It's a throng of monstrous gods on my random encounter table. So I think you're gonna get hit with a hail of these thorns as you continue running towards Xuejiang. So I'm gonna need you to take the status Bleeding 2. Would you like to burn anything to reduce that? Okay, you're also muted in this moment.
No, I do not want to burn any tags to... I'm just going to add it to my collection of tags.
You're pretty messed up. I'm looking at your sheet. You're pretty dang messed up right now, Xainan.
For those of you at home, very messed up, but we're going. And I think Xainan just... weaving in and out, and the like hail of sharpened feathers cutting through his robes, his, you know, he's got like specific, like someone threw a dagger through his clothes through and through, that's cutting, but it doesn't stop him as he runs forward and yells, "Forge Master! You may be done with me, but I'm not done with you!"
And your venomous roar echoes across the rooftops of the City of Heaven as you close the distance between yourself and Xuejiang. And finally, we surface out of an ocean of mist to find the Forge Master of the City of Heaven, pausing on one of the many roofs of Plum Leaf Courtyard. She closes her eyes briefly, breathing in this symphony of calamity, the rolling seas of fog, the monsters, the demons. She doesn't look happy, per se, but rather grimly satisfied. This is the eve of change. This is the dawn of a new era. And then, just as your roar rings out, a prayer paper shoots out of the fog and sticks onto her axe-bearing arm, the same arm that still flows with white blood from that god-killing arrow. And this prayer paper detonates with a divine explosion. And when the radiant smoke clears, we see Xuejiang, eyes open once more, ears flattened against her skull, and the mist clears just enough for us to see Xainan, Yinghe, and Naim on a nearby roof, separated from Xuejiang by a courtyard. And we see Naim lowering his hand, a halo of sutra papers rotating around his arms and torso like obedient birds. And Yinghe steps forward, with violence shaking in his grasp, the shadows at her feet beginning to deepen and seethe like a roiling oil pit. And Xuejiang's other ear twitches, and she turns her head to the other side of this courtyard, just in time to see Lumièra, Seir, and Xuejiang surfacing out of the mist, landing onto the tiles of a nearby roof. And Xuejiang forms that point of that triangle between these two trios. And the Forge Master steps forward onto the slope of the roof she's on, a hand clenched into a fist holding her hammer. Xuejiang raises their head in challenge, and also gets off of Seir's back and places a hand on the hilt of the sword strapped at their waist, which they now reveal the same sword that had borne Lumièra up to the peaks of the Vermilion Library what feels like a lifetime ago. And the courtier of four symbols says, "Forge Master, give it up. The Emperor will defeat your queen like she always has, like she always will. And besides, you're outnumbered here. You're no longer the only god in this fight."
Xuejiang, I have to admit, you are the perfect choice for the position of virtue. You are loyal, you're generous, you're brave, but you are wrong about one thing. I'm not outnumbered.
And then, in a beam of black light, the Plum Leaf Ascension Gate activates. There's a thrum of magic, an explosion of it. And when that pillar of void dies down, flickering out of existence, we see, standing on that raised stone dais, Shalong, Tang Tang, and Bai Guting. And we're gonna cut to break there. So we'll see you all in 10 minutes. Enjoy the fan art reel. Enjoy Spawny, sponsored Connie. Pisho.